The film begins at an old fire tower deep within the woods. A group of young men can be heard off-screen, and one of them takes a necklace from the tower. After they leave, a towering and ominous figure named Johnny rises from the earth beneath the structure and begins making his way through the forest. As Johnny ventures farther from the tower, he comes across the decayed remains of an animal caught in a trap. Eventually, he stumbles upon a remote shed belonging to a man named Chuck. Inside, Johnny spots a necklace he believes to be his. However, when Chuck fires at him with a rifle, Johnny swiftly disarms him and chases him outside. Chuck steps into a trap, and Johnny kills him. Upon returning to the shed, Johnny realizes the necklace isn't his. He then sees a vision of his father in a mirror, who tells him the necklace holds deep significance in their family. As night falls, Johnny continues his journey through the woods until he spots the same young men from earlier, now accompanied by their girlfriends. The group sets up at a nearby cabin. There are 7 in total: Chris and her boyfriend Colt, couples Brody and Aurora, along with Troy, Aaron, and Evan. Underlying tension is evident within the group, particularly directed at Colt, whose abrasive behavior has made him unpopular with the others. The group of friends gathers around a campfire, unaware that Johnny is silently watching them from the shadows of the surrounding trees. As the fire crackles, Aaron shares a chilling local legend, the story of Johnny. Years ago, the very land they're camping on was part of a summer camp where Johnny, a mentally disabled child, once played. Lumberjacks working nearby often mocked him. After one of them slipped on one of Johnny's toy cars, they decided to prank him by luring him to the top of the fire tower under the false promise of more toys. Terrified by the setup, Johnny fell from the tower and died. To cover up the incident, the men placed a firefighter's mask on his body to make it appear as though it was a tragic accident during play. Johnny's father later discovered the truth and confronted the men. A violent altercation followed, ending with Johnny's father being killed. The men claimed self-defense, but not long after, they were found gruesomely murdered, hacked to pieces, fueling the legend that Johnny's vengeful spirit had returned to punish them. Before turning in for the night, Aaron voices his annoyance to Chris about inviting Colt on the trip. The group teases Aaron when he says he's stepping out for a smoke, joking that he's really going to flirt with some girls they saw at the gas station. Alone in the woods, Aaron is ambushed by Johnny, who uses a saw to brutally slice off the top half of Aaron's head. Johnny takes the body and head, smashes into the ranger station, and leaves the remains inside. He also arms himself with a firefighter mask, an axe, and a hook on a chain. The next morning, Johnny spies on Brody and Aurora by the lake. Brody jokes about Aurora joining her in the water, but Aurora opts for yoga by the cliffside. Johnny silently slips underwater and drags Brody beneath the surface, drowning her. He then approaches Aurora. When she sees him, she attempts to flee, but is quickly trapped at the cliff's edge. Johnny drives his hooked chain through her abdomen, then gruesomely threads the hook upward through her skull, yanking her spine through her body in a grotesque fashion, leaving her twisted like a human pretzel. He then rolls her mangled corpse down the cliffside. Johnny pauses in the woods and removes his firefighter mask, revealing his grotesquely scarred and partially decomposed face. As he silently plays with one of his old toy cars, he hears the distant voices of the remaining teens, who are growing increasingly worried about the disappearance of Aaron, Brody, and Aurora. Chris and Colt decide to check the ranger station while Troy and Evan stay behind at the cabin. Johnny targets Troy, having seen him pocket the necklace the previous night. He attacks and buries his axe into Troy's leg, but before he can do more, Evan fires a rifle at Johnny, briefly forcing him back. Evan attempts to stabilize Troy by tying a tourniquet around his leg, but before they can escape, Johnny recovers and hurls the axe straight into Evan's head. He then finishes off Troy by crushing his skull with a massive rock. Johnny searches Troy's body, but fails to find the necklace. Meanwhile, Chris and Colt return after discovering Aaron's mutilated body at the ranger station. Johnny soon spots Chris. She's wearing the necklace. He hurls the axe at her, narrowly missing, and the two flee into the forest. As night falls once again, Johnny tracks them down just as they reach a local ranger. The ranger reveals the truth behind the necklace. It once belonged to Johnny's mother and was the only thing anchoring Johnny's spirit. He explains that the last time Johnny awakened, He went on a similar rampage, leaving only the ranger's father alive to tell the tale. Johnny soon appears, and the ranger shoots him, though he warns it will only slow him down temporarily. He instructs Chris and Colt to restrain Johnny using heavy chains. However, when the ranger hands his rifle to Colt, Johnny suddenly lunges and seizes the weapon. Chris and Colt escape, but the ranger isn't as lucky. Johnny snaps his spine with brutal force, drags him inside, and gruesomely dismembers and decapitates him using a log-splitting machine. Realizing that the only way to stop Johnny is to return the necklace to the fire tower, Chris and Colt devise a plan to lure him there. As Johnny approaches, Colt attempts to distract him while Chris prepares a trap using a bear trap and a gas canister. Colt emerges from behind and taunts Johnny, but the plan quickly unravels. Johnny viciously strikes Colt in the face and head with his axe, killing him brutally. Chris, now alone, places the necklace on the canister and flees. Chris runs through the forest but injures her leg along the way. She eventually makes it to a road and manages to flag down a passing car. The driver, a kind woman, helps Chris into the vehicle and heads toward town. As they drive, the woman gently asks questions to ensure Chris is coherent. Chris vaguely claims she was attacked by an animal. The woman shares a story about her brother, who once survived a bear attack in the same woods, even though the bear was never found. She reassures Chris that she'll be okay, just like her brother. As Chris begins to fade from consciousness, the woman pulls over to tend to her injured leg. Meanwhile, Chris anxiously watches the woods, terrified that Johnny might still be out there. The film ends with a shot of the gas canister and bear trap left behind at the fire tower. Johnny's necklace is now gone.